You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Need a Car. Coming up, meet the Norths, the family not leaving the car park to chance. And we drop in on Gedz Garage, a Waikanae workshop with a thing for Mopar. But first, cheers to Maguire's, we're off to Meri Dragway for the Petrolhead Father's Day Drags, a massive day of street car racing hosted by the American Muscle Car Club of New Zealand.
Drag racing at its best. American or Australian V8s, and that's what it is. We've had a few guys are a little bit upset with us because they can't run their rotaries, but the whole day is about V8s. We get a couple of 8-second cars, which is pretty frightening. Each vehicle has to have a warrant of fitness and a registration, so they're street legal cars, and 8 seconds is scary.
Yeah, it's really good. Father's Day Drags is probably one of the bigger events of the year. Obviously, there's the comp meets through the summer season, and there's nostalgia towards the end of the summer season. But events like this is a great range of cars, and it really shows what New Zealand does have in the way of muscle cars and stuff like that. And there's some very fast street cars. Like there's some very fast Aussie and American street cars. So it's a great day. It'll be really busy, and it should be a great time.
The track's not as good as say a competition meet, so your ETs and that are affected by that. You're never going to run as fast as the car is capable of at this meet. It's all part of being part of the fun, part of the event, and saying you were here, and if you're lucky enough to win it, then you've got those sort of bragging rights for another year.
Good fun day. So, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, if you're not having fun, then why do it?
With over 6 hours of racing, only broken up by an unfortunate oil down and a bit of burnout action thrown in over lunch, AMCC's Father's Day Drags has cemented its spot as one of the biggest and best on New Zealand's drag racing calendar, packing out the stands and hills of Meri Dragway. For the host club, it's a heck of a lot of work too, but a turnout like this makes it all worthwhile, especially after a few years of weather skullduggery dampening the fun. Fortunately for 2019, only a foggy start would slow things down.
I think it's the uniqueness about V8s only. There is a huge following of American and Aussie V8s in the country. It just starts going off.
It also makes for a good excuse to get back on the track. After some 20 years out, Auckland's Paul Denton has been enjoying putting in seat time this year in his immaculate DC Trading built Camaro, good for 900 horses.
It's a 1967 RSSS Camaro. It's an original big block 4-speed car, and we've removed all the original motor trans and rear end. I'm now running a Scott Shafroth 598 cubic inch big block engine, and we've changed the trans to a turbo 400 and a Moser 12-bolt rear end. And it's all pretty street. It's all street legal. It's all warranted and tech inspected, and it's original big block car, so I haven't tubbed it or anything like that. So we put the biggest tyres we can on it, but there's not a lot of rubber there. But the engine makes around about 900 horsepower, so there's not a lot of rubber for 900 horsepower, and it's naturally aspirated. There's no nitrous. I don't run any supercharging or turbos or anything, so keep it all simple, We're hoping to do a 10-0 again, or maybe even a high 9. The car's done a 10-0 at 136 previously, and it'd be good to try and pop it into high 9, but it just depends on how the track is today, because it'll probably be a little bit slippery and a little bit scarier, but we'll give it a shot,
And Paul would find himself oh so close, at 10.007 at 137 mile an hour. The 9 will have to wait for another day.
I've raced for many years, since about the early 80s. Had various cars like that, and I've crewed on some pretty good cars, on super stock cars and stuff. But as I'm getting a bit older, I'm starting to slow down a bit now, and if my driving doesn't improve, I might have to hand the keys to my kids. So, we'll see how we go.
The day's title fight is the Top 8 shootout. Well, truth be told, there's actually 2 of them, split into American and Australian origin vehicles. Last year's winner of the Aussie class was Mr. Aaron Jenkins.
77 Tirana hatch, running a 540 twin turbo big block Chevy, E85 single carb, putting out just shy of 1100 horsepower now out the back door, 16 pound, and we're currently running 8.1 at 169.5. So at this stage, and that's probably about it, but good day, who knows.
We featured the twin-turbo monster in full street mode in an earlier season of Teng Tools Muscle Garage, and yes, this thing does clock up a few Ks too. On the track though, it currently holds third spot in NZV8's quickest streeters list, and the 540Q Big Block the recipient of a winter freshen-up. And it was right at home at an event like this. In fact, Aaron had originally chosen the earlier Tirana platform specifically to fit within the Father's Day drags criteria.
Just if you're going to build something to an event, well, why not, you know? So, and it does plenty of other events as well, but this is a main one on my calendar, this and the likes of Power Cruise, a couple other things like that are just good fun events, so definitely worth doing. Super easy to drive on the track, easy. It's just easy all round really, and there's heaps of horsepower there, super reliable, just trouble-free motoring really. So, and that's probably the most basic turbo setup you'd get with a carburetor. So, and it's rewarding me. So I'll take what I get out of it, you know.
And powering its way to an 8.37 at 164 miles an hour right off the trailer wasn't a bad place to start. You do have to keep reminding yourself that this is a street car here with plenty of road legal requirements to weigh it down.
Otherwise I've just built a real heavy race car, you know, so street car ultimately is where I'm happy at. I'm not that fussed about a race car, so I like the fact I can go and test and tune it on the road, shall we say, and just that sort of thing. So it just gives you that bit of freedom for other events, not just drag racing, but yeah, other events to do as well.
A race/road compromise is something all very familiar to the man who's long been at the pointy end of the street class, Reese Fish and his 56 Chev.
Yeah, it's a fast street car. If it was taken off the street, then it's just a slow race car, basically. You know, race cars are 6 seconds and quicker. You know, that's just how I view it. Let's face it, it doesn't see a lot of street miles, but the point is, it is street legal. You can drive it on the street if I want to. And that's what it's all about, you know. That's what makes this car what it is. It's a 1956 Chevy. It runs a twin-turbo, all-aluminium, basically a custom engine that I designed with Mike Moran over in America. 532 cubic inches. We've done a 738 at 194 mile an hour at Masterton that was run, but yeah, we're at Mary we're not far behind it. We've done, I think, a 7.4 here.
As usual, Reese drove the 2,000-ish horses worth of Chev to the track, smashed out a handful of 7-second passes, and then drove it home again. It's been an incredibly reliable workhorse over 5 seasons now, but the motor was pulled down for a freshen-up over the off-season. Truly the king of street car racing in New Zealand, it's also due credit for being one of the original exponents of the twin-turbocharged V8, a game-changer that's been hard to catch since.
The car was supercharged. I was going to put a Pro Charger on the car, and we spoke to a few people in America. Back then it was fairly new for V8s to have turbos on them, over here anyway. So we went down that road, and really it exceeded our expectations, you know. First time out, I think we ran an 8.5 in the car, which we were like, wow, we didn't expect that. But yeah, I mean, it's gradually just grown from there, you know. It's an addictive bug. You get on it and you just keep going, basically.
Reese piloted the 56 to its 6th straight top American shootout win, a 7.49 at 185 mile an hour in the final, both the quickest of the day and also the quickest ever Father's Day drags past to date. Aaron Jenkins prevailed in the all-Tirana and all-Aaron final, besting the efforts of Aaron Jackson's 9 flat in his nitro-snorting 555 Cube 74. And with that car rumoured to be the recipient of a Pro Charger in the not-too-distant future, the quick end of New Zealand street cars will be an exciting place to be in the coming seasons.
Yeah, I think the next few years, you know, there's a few cars being built at the moment that you know, I mean, it's not rocket science. You put enough horsepower in a car, enough tyre on it, and it's light enough, it'll go quick, you know. Lots of guys are playing with the turbos now, and you know, cars are coming along that you know, we'll run with it at some point, you know, so.
amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage. Right, our mates at Mount Shop are sending us shed raiding again. This week, we're on the Kapiti coast, dropping in on Gedz Garage, a Waikanae workshop with a thing for American muscle. That's thanks to its owner, who had one of those life-changing moments when he happened across an innocent-looking hot rod mag as a 10-year-old.
On the cover was a tea bucket. I looked through it and went, holy heck, what the hell is this? Boom, I'm a car guy after that. None of my family were car people, nothing like that. Started off on Fords. My very first car was a Ford Pop with a Transit V4 in it and motorcycle front guards and that. Saw the error of my ways after a few years and went to GM and got over that pretty quick. Had a couple of Camaros and Monaros, and as you do. Discovered the Chryslers, and that's just where my heart is now. But it doesn't matter what badge is on the vehicle. If it's a great car, it's a great car. That's the way I look at it. But I am going through the Mopar phase at the moment, and only have been for about 20 years now.
So for Jed, turning that lifelong love of cars into a full-time gig was perhaps always going to happen eventually.
I started this just on 10 years ago. We set up, had no customers, hired a friend of mine who came and worked for me for a while, and we hit the ground running, and we pretty much haven't stopped. It's not a job because I love what I do. Come here every day, boom, love it. Even sometimes on a Sunday. Kapiti Coast, there's a lot of classic cars around. I just love seeing them out there on the road. People are driving them, going to events, enjoying the events. It's the people as well. You meet a lot of great people through the car hobby. And it's not just the American or Aussie cars we work on. We get European classics in here. All that sort of thing, and we love them all. You know, and the more out there, the better.
There's a bit of an old car network going on up the Kapiti coast, and that means building a car from go to woe isn't a problem. Jed, Brendan and Bodie specialise in the more mechanical part of the process, offering everything from basic repairs and servicing to full overhauls, engine transplants, all the way up to the more extreme end of the deal, such as fabricating tubbed rear ends, like on this Coronet. For Jed, an important part of his trade is recognising that not everyone has the necessary skills or time at their disposal to perform these tasks themselves. Workshops like this one keep the hobby accessible and inclusive of everyone.
They're car people, but they do what they do and we do what we do. You know, they might be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. A lot of them don't even want to get their hands dirty. That's great, that's why we're here. There's still guys I hear sometimes at events and they're like, oh, he didn't build it himself, it was built by a rod shop. Like, who cares? And even a lot of guys are quite die-hard on cut-off years for vehicles. I've seen late model Commodores tubbed and blowing and that's a hot rod, you know? We particularly like doing stuff as far as brakes and suspension goes. Bang for buck can see the biggest difference in their vehicle. We normally like to do this before we start adding power to them. So let's get it handling right, stopping right, steering right, then we'll upgrade your power. Because a lot of guys come in and want power. We go for a run with them in their car and we're like, oh, I don't really want to go in that car again, it's dangerous. Very satisfying to be able to help someone get a car that they can just, again, jump in and drive, and it handles, because our roads aren't that straight, you know, so a lot of cars now are very easy to drive. You know, technology's right, it's a good time to be a hot rodder, that's for sure.
When turning a lifelong hobby into a full-time job, there's also the risk it'll turn into just that, a job. Not so for Jed. This is the dream gig.
Nah, it's a disease and you can't get rid of it, and I'm glad about that. Real glad. You know, after a hard day at work, sometimes it's stressful. Get in the car, go to lay a patch somewhere, go for a bit of a high-speed Banzai run, and life's good.
Moving right along, thanks to Need a Car, we're off to meet the Norths. You see, this car game is a family thing, and with Dad Pete leading the charge, there was little chance for his eldest Cameron. For both, it's a lifelong thing too. The bug biting early.
Yeah, probably too early. Sort of probably around the intermediate stage. The neighbour had a Trans Am up the road and I always sort of loved that sound and look of that flying past the street. And then spent most of my time in intermediate reading car magazines, and rather than doing my schoolwork, and until I finally got that stage, I got my first little car.
A Tirana fittingly, but one that was missing the desired power plant. A problem quickly rectified.
Mother was a bit anti sort of the old V8 scene. Because that thing in their head years ago that they were a fast car, even though they probably didn't go much quicker than anything else. Yeah, but we soon snuck that in with the old swap of the old 1900 Tirana and went up to Manukau City and bought home a tea bucket for the mother to go off her nuts about. So it was a nice quiet household for a few months.
A scenario Pete ensured would be a little different with his own children.
Every time I got up to school in the morning, you had to walk through the garage and walk past both the cars that were sitting in there, and they were both old classic Holdens, so you didn't really have much of a choice.
I reckon you can't go wrong. Keeps them off the street, keeps them broke because they're spending all their money on their cars, so hopefully it cancels out that drug situation, they can't afford it. And then there's family time in the shed, whether or not that goes good sometimes. There's a bit of yelling and screaming and swearing. Then you've got your events you can do together, and it becomes a bit of competition, and later on you come home and have a few drinks and a laugh and sit around the barbecue.
You remember Pete's 67 Chevelle from last season. It wasn't exactly love at first sight, but now, with a built 454 dishing up well over 400 ponies to the treads, a very streetable package that's good for 11-second quarters, well, it's growing on him. And the Chevelle, it seems, is in pretty good company.
Well, in our eyes, it's just playground, really. We've got VK Commodores, Tirana hatches, and then you got the old VH Commodore that we built my son. There's a Monaro kicking around, and a good old HQ. You can't have a shed without a HQ Kingswood in it. Who knows, I'm still coming up, so then we can chuck another Aussie car in there.
When it comes to that love of Aussie muscle, the apple clearly doesn't fall far from the tree. I don't know what your first car looked like, but I suspect it was nothing like this. The VH was purchased before Cameron even had a license, but it sure didn't start off this slick.
I started looking on Trade Me when I was about 15, and that just having no money, but I thought I'd have a look, and then it just happened to be that we came across that one that a family friend was selling. Went and looked at it and it was tidy, so Dad brought it and I just had to work a bit more to pay for it, part-time jobs, and then once I had my license and got a job, we started to pull it apart, and then it got the full rebuild. The car had been going for about 2 years, and we did a big trip to Summernatt's 31 and saw some of the cars over there, and the cars are completely different to what we have here. They're a lot tougher and a lot faster, and some of them caught my eye, and I came back and had a little bit of money sitting there and I had to borrow some. But first was the wheels, and it's got to have big wheels because everything over there has big wheels and it looks tough. With the big wheels, you got to have a better motor, so that motor came out and we bought up a whole new engine, which is a 355 motor, and that goes a lot better than it used to. And then we had to do the trans and the diff. Saw some Recaro seats on Facebook, so I brought those, and then the whole interior got redone, so pretty much everything got redone the second stage, just to make it look more like a tough street car.
The Aussie theme continues in the North Fleet with 3 cars next in line. Due for a makeover apparently means different things to different people. The Tirana hatch looks pretty sweet to us, but Pete insists it's due for some love after years of service. Same goes for the HQ, with things about to get a bit serious here.
Yeah, it's another one on the list to be chopped up. Sort of puts out quite a good amount of power, and as it is as a street car, it's not that practical, so we're going to put some big feet under it and still keep it street legal with certification and stuff. Enter that in a few events as well, but just put some nice big rubber on the road so it's not quite as lethal driving around.
With an XR Fairmont for Mrs. North due back any day from the paint shop too, this family shed will be the scene for plenty more family bonding to an automotive backdrop. And Pete's hoping that's for generations to come.
Hopefully not too soon, but when he has kids of his own, whether it be a girl or a boy, Hopefully they follow the same footsteps and we can go a few generations of old rusty cars in the background and shiny bits of chrome still hanging around. We'll have it in the bedroom if we have to. There's always room for cars, trust me.
Your ride needs some love, we've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth $700 to give away, plus a $500 mount shop voucher to keep the underside shipshape too. And to top it off, 1 year's subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.